Hello everyone, my name is Gill. I'm the physician at NOM, and I welcome you to this recording on what I call the anatomy of breathing, journaling, and relaxation, period. So the reason that I hope that you're listening to this recording or this video is to get a better sense of how can breathing and journaling help and relaxation help you. And so today I wanted to break a bit of that down, and I also wanted to give some insight into some of the structure of this 40-day practice that we're proposing. So the agenda for today will be mainly to, number one, talk about breathing and how it can help you. Talk about journaling. Talk about relaxation and the important role that plays in mental wellness. And finally, talk a little bit about recovery and some of the material that we're getting ready for you. So let's without further ado, let's start with breathing. So what we've prepared for you is a combined practice, a twice a day, about 16 minutes, twice a day, of what we call connection to self. And connection to self is a key part of self-therapy. So the three components of self-therapy are connecting to self, connecting to others, and committing to a daily practice of this. So with this 40-day practice, we're going to delve a little bit into connecting to self. And as with all practices, these things need to be mentored. And one patient once said to me, "I know how to breathe." And so I've spent many years learning more and more about the breath. And even today, I pleasantly surprise myself with learning new things, because the breath is actually very deep. So let's kind of go and talk a little bit about the breathing. So breathing has been shown in all sorts of studies. When we slow it down, it can result in reduction of stress, increase resilience, so stress doesn't faze you as much. It can actually lower your blood pressure, so people can need less blood pressure medication. There's studies that show that it can increase your intelligence, which is really important for people going to school. And there's research that it can help with improved sleep, and all of this translates into improved quality of life, which is really why we're here, isn't it? So there's all sorts of research on breathing. It's very evidence-based, and so we incorporate this into the recording because it is a very effective way to calm the self down and get perspective. So the number one reason why we breathe is to gain perspective. I'm just going to underline this with red. The whole purpose of psychotherapy is to gain distance and perspective, and breathing gives you both. So perspective is kind of like, if you kind of have a big mountain, with like a little ice cap at the top there, and you're on the mountain, right there, you might not be able to see the whole of the mountain. You don't quite have a full perspective. So then whatever you're seeing at that moment, whether it's a cliff or something scary, you're kind of really concerned. You can be kind of disturbed by the whole thing. But if you step back and you look at that same mountain from a distance, you can kind of see where it all fits in. And so it's about the perspective. So why does breathing give us perspective? Well, breathing will cause your survival mind to pay attention to one thing. It takes advantage of our survival instinct. So breathing, when we slowing it, will activate survival instinct, and that is to become alert. So breathing represents the top of the hierarchy. So there's actually a hierarchy here. So there's a hierarchy of needs, and guess what? Number one on this hierarchy, we'll just use a nice calm blue color, is breathing. Because if you're not breathing, you're pretty dead, pretty quick. Next is water. Then there's food. Then there's pooping and peeing. And then there's sleep. And there's socialization. So you can see why, when we learn to control our breathing, when we slow it down, the whole of our body system, the whole of our mind will pay attention. So the breathing is the one thing that is under our control, and when we slow it down, it suppresses all of this stuff, and also all of the worries, of the, what I call the shoulda, woulda, coulda, like all those things that we waste time on worrying about that don't really change your reality. When you start slowing the breath, you end up suppressing a lot of it. And different cultures and religions throughout the world oftentimes use fasting as a way to bring attention to our basic needs and to really make us grateful that we have what we have. And breathing is the easiest and most accessible way for everyone for that. So breathing can take you to deeper states of mindfulness and meditation and give you that most important thing, perspective, which is why we get stressed out, isn't it? It's because we lose perspective. So how can we work with breathing? So the best way to work with breathing is to inhale slowly, and we're going to practice this. So we inhale slowly. Inhale, hold, and exhale. So why do people in general, they tend to breathe very quickly? So if I were to draw someone's breathing cycle, it's shallow and fast. In fact, most people breathe at a rate of 16 breaths per second. So breaths per second. And that's what I would consider an anxious breath. So when you want to slow this down, you still got to breathe. What that means is you're going to slow it down. You're going to go slower, but you're going to go deeper. Because you're going to have to go deeper to make it slower, right? You have to still move the same amount of air. And in doing so, you will achieve, a slower breath, such as 4 breaths per second. 4 breaths per second sounds like a really slow breath, but actually it's just 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, and 5 seconds out. Easy peasy. And if you do that, you will become considerably relaxed. And so we can slow this even further to 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and even 20 seconds if you take some practice. Medically, it's very safe to do. Your body will not let you breathe at a rate that's too slow. Your body will simply not allow it. But what you do when you slow your breath is you activate your mind. You activate. So slowed breathing will make part of you think that you're under threat, perceived threat. And your body will react. But because you're slowing your own breath down, you have the perspective. You know that there's no threat here. So you're simultaneously messaging yourself that there's a perceived threat, but no real threat. And this is why most of us live a life of drama, is because we're perceiving threats, we're activating ourselves as if we're under a threat, and we're saying things we don't mean. We're being aggressive, or we're on edge. And so the breathing can really help you come and calm right down. And that's going to be really, really important to desensitizing. So slowing the breath, practicing slowed breath over time desensitizes the survival instinct. Because the truth is, you're not under threat most of the time. There are times when you're under threat, and certainly this won't change your response to that. In fact, it'll probably calm you down so you can respond appropriately. And that's the whole purpose of this. Now, we use breath, and if we just go a little bit lower here, so we've talked about ways to use the breath to calm down. So it turns out there's a certain period of time that you have to breathe. So lots of people say, I've tried to take a deep breath and it hasn't made a difference. So it turns out that you need about 3 minutes of a sustained, slow breath. You need 3 minutes of a sustained, slow breath to change the blood chemistry in a way to bring you down. So the breath works for everyone. It definitely calms everyone down. It's just a question of, have you taken long enough to do so? So I think that the key thing here is to always take enough time to breathe. And so in the recording, we start with 3 minutes of long, deep breathing. So to take that long, deep breath, that really, really big breath, we divide the breath into 3 parts. Long, deep breath, LDB, okay? Long, deep breath, 3 parts. First is the belly, and this is really tough for people. Society is all about, and men and women, society is all about a body image. And so we want to project an image of ourselves as fit, and the belly seems to be a very, very self-conscious thing. And so lots of people walking around with sucked in bellies. Well, it's no wonder they breathe so shallow. It's because they're taking away 50% of their lung capacity by sucking in the belly. So the first thing is to relax the belly. Second part is to fill the chest. And then the third part is to relax the shoulders, because the shoulder tension is what prevents you from filling into the apex of your chest. So relax the shoulders and then sipping in a little bit more air. So this is how you can get up to 10, 15, 20 seconds. We usually don't do any more than 10, 15, or 20 seconds. And we can allow you to experiment with that as you do your daily practice. Now, 3 minutes to slow the breath to calm down. But if you want to use your breath to even more power, if you breathe for, somewhere between, let's say, up to 11 minutes, and you're slowing your breath down, you can start to access your neutral mind. So that's the part of your mind that gives you perspective. And so you can access that, you can become that guy who's like all freaked out over there, and you can become that person over there who has perspective by slowing your breath for about 11 minutes. And in the recordings we do about that in total. So that's how the breathing fits in. It's really helpful when you're doing long deep breath. If you're doing 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out, it's super helpful to have some kind of, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most people do that. They start with that as they inhale, they count when they hold, they count when they come out, and it just gets boring. So what I tell some people, or a lot of people, they find a lot more engaging is if they have a affirmation. An affirmation that sort of spans that time. So that affirmation could be something like, everything happens for a reason. And you say that slowly in a way that gets it to 5 seconds. Like, everything happens for a reason. And that took 5 seconds for me to say. So I could just say that to myself in that way. As I inhale, I could say that to myself as I hold. And I could say that to myself as I exhale. And chances are that I will be breathing at that rate. And the nice thing about timing it to 5 seconds is then you can just say it twice to get to 10 seconds. Say it 3 times to get to 15 seconds, or 4 times. That affirmation can be something like, everything happens for a reason. Another good one is, I am beautiful, bountiful, and blissful. Some people use mantras. Some people use religious phrases. But basically, I am getting better, I'm getting smarter, I'm getting happier. There's all sorts of different affirmations that you can use to count to yourself. And what you do when you do that is you are speaking to yourself when you are relaxed. So this will result in relaxation. And when you're relaxed, you can reframe your metacognitive processes. So that sort of toxic soup that gives rise to all these worries, right? All these toxic soups that gives rise to all these worries. You can relax yourself with the breath, and the affirmation basically allows you to reprogram yourself. So if you tell yourself you're enough, that there's nothing to be ashamed about, that you're not alone anymore, all these nice things, when you're relaxed, then you are able to become even more relaxed and reprogram those things that really are what are giving rise to all these worries. So worries about, for example, worrying about, oh, I shouldn't eat that thing, may come from a place of, I'm ashamed of my body image. And so if you repeat to yourself in a state of relaxation with the breath that you're beautiful just the way you are, then you can start to reprogram that, and you don't have those obsessions as much over time. So that's kind of how it works. And so in the recording, what we do is then we marry this to journaling. So the recording goes a little bit like this. So we'll just kind of scroll down a little bit here. And so in journaling, we basically incorporate, so the recording will have segments to it. So it'll be 3 minutes of slow breathing. And there is a music soundtrack that repeats every 5 seconds to make it just easier for you. And then we have about 2 minutes of journaling. And when I say journaling, I mean expressing. So you could draw, you could crayon, you can write, you can do whatever you like, blog, whatever, on a computer or something. So, but you're journaling for 2 minutes. And then we go and launch into about 8 more minutes of breathing. And this is that slowed type, that of 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 or 20 as you inhale, 5, 10 or 15 as you hold, 5, 10 or 15 as you exhale. And so that will give you perspective on what you wrote about, because what you're going to write about is the stuff that triggered you that day, the stuff that caused you shame and guilt or any kind of emotional response. Because where there's an emotional response, there's something for you to learn. And the whole purpose of journaling is to get perspective on that. The trouble is sometimes we journal, but we can't access it. So we add in, after you do that, the 8 minutes of breathing, and then we do another 2 minutes of journaling. On the perspective, we reflect on what we did here, and we build on it like a block. And then we just have some gratitudes that have been shown to help. So that's kind of the anatomy of the recording. So we'll just briefly talk a little bit about journaling. Well, maybe we'll find some space down here. Sure. Well, let's just talk about journaling right here. So journaling people are sometimes surprised when I call it this, but journaling represents the most complex of psychotherapy. Say that again. Journaling represents the most complex of psychotherapy. It's the essential tool of self-therapy, and some people say, I tried to journal, it didn't work for me. Rest assured, journaling works for everybody. And there's so much evidence of it helping with all of those things that cause you stress. There's evidence of it helping with all of these problems of stress or anxiety or other different things that are bothersome. And so the evidence shows that you can get substantial sizes reduction of emotional intensity, of reduced stress, anxiety, addiction. There's one study of like inmates, prisoners who were given journaling to do, and it reduces their crime. Like the journaling is a tremendous tool, but the whole trouble is people don't know how to journal, and so they give up on it too early. And as I said, it is the most complex of psychotherapy, so it's worth it to invest in. So the things I want to mention about journaling is that it really helps you get to learn your mind. So when you do your deep breathing, you're still inside your mind. And the whole trouble is your mind, it acts as like a house of mirrors. So, and when your mind is a house of mirrors, you can imagine a house of mirrors. It's kind of like, there's all these mirrors and the light's just bouncing back and forth, and you can rationalize any action any given way, and it's just really kind of like you can't make heads or tails of anything. It's hard to act rationally. So what we do is we pull it out, we pull the thoughts out so that we can see them, so we can see the interconnectivity. And we can call out the BS, if this thought is irrational, you can say it, you can see it now, and you pull it out of yourself, and it's an irrational fear, and you can say, no, I don't accept that. That's not based in reality, because I know that's not true. So when we do things in this way, when we use journaling in this way, we can slowly revise our thought process so that it doesn't need as much attention. So journaling, when we express ourselves, helps us first decode. So it first helps us, journaling helps us decode the mind, which for a lot of people is something they've never done before. The second thing it allows us to do then, once we have some element of decoding, we can then change the mind by introducing suggestions, by introducing new thoughts. And so that's a key part of what we do in this phase. So we decode the mind in this phase, and we change the mind in this phase through commitments, through gratitudes. We can see when we're distressed in this position at the right inside the mountain, and we write about that. And then through the breathing we get the perspective, and then we pull out the perspective and write about that. And that teaches us for the next time we can say, hey, I'm not going to get tricked by that random irrational fear again. I'm going to do something different. So that's the reason why we've done the recording as we have. And so I want to invite you now, just briefly, we're going to just practice a little bit of that long deep breathing. And if you can get some piece of paper to write on, we're just going to practice a little bit of writing as well. We won't go for long. Just bring that piece of paper there and just close your eyes. Close your eyes, sit comfortably. Put your feet on the floor. And just through the nose, bring in long, deep breathing. Relaxing your body into your chair, relaxing your shoulders, loosen up yourself. And just close your eyes and stare into your forehead. And just begin long, deep breathing. Yeah, deep in, deep out. Inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply. Recognizing that a long, deep breath is a 3-part breath. First we expand our belly. Then we expand our chest. And then we relax our shoulders, pull our neck back, straighten just a little. And then the third part is we sip in a little bit more air. Holding it there, and then exhaling. Exhaling fully. And when we've reached the maximum emptiness of our breath, then I just want you to squeeze that belly in. Squeezing all of the rest of the air out. And then relax the belly. Allow that breath to come back in. Filling it like a balloon that starts in your belly, filling it until it expands into your chest. You can use that visualization of the balloon. And then relax the shoulders, readjust the spine and the neck, and sip in a little bit more air into that balloon. Fill it so that it pushes all of that muscle and really breaks down some of that armoring you've had for years. And then relax that breath. Allow that breath to exit. And then squeeze out any remaining air, that stale air. Squeeze it out with that belly. Yeah, just like that. And then relaxing the belly. Inhaling slowly. Belly, chest. Relax the shoulders, sip in a little bit more air, break those old Anxiety is stored in our shoulders, and that's why we breathe so shallow. Inhale just a touch more, break that, and exhale. Yeah, just keep going like that, just for a breath or two. And then continue breathing, and I'm just going to instruct you in how to do timed breath. So we're going to inhale over 5 seconds, we're going to hold for 5 seconds, we're going to exhale over 5 seconds. So as I speak, I'll direct it for the first bit, and so inhale deeply, 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 and exhale fully, fully, fully. And now slowly inhale through the nose. Keep going, keep going. And now hold the breath. Hold it in. Hold it in and count to 5. And exhale, counting to 5. Exhale, keep on pushing that breath out. Slowly, slowly, slowly exhale. And then inhale again. Keeping on coming in. And then hold the breath. And then exhale. Inhale. And give a thought to an affirmation you can use. Hold that breath. An affirmation that you can use to recite over 5 seconds. Exhale. Inhale. Something like everything happens for a reason. Hold the breath. Or I'm enough today. And exhale. Or use something irreligious from your faith or anything you like. Just keep repeating it. Holding the breath. Exhale, repeating your affirmation. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Now we're going to go twice as long. So repeat your affirmation twice. Inhale. Keep inhaling. Now hold the breath. And exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Continue on your own. Inhaling, repeating your affirmation twice. Holding, repeating your affirmation twice. And exhaling, repeating your affirmation twice. You're doing great. And if you become distracted at any time, it's okay. Just smile. As that thought distracts you, smile to it and say, hello there. You're important. We'll get to you someday. But right now we're just going to breathe. And come back to your breath. Now, see if you can increase it to 3 affirmations. Or even 4. 3 or 4 will take you some practice. But I hope over your 40 days of practice you will begin to increase your lung capacity. So just give it a try right now. Keep going. Just ignoring any sounds that you hear. Just focusing on you. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Now exhale fully. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. Inhale one last time. Deeply, deeply, deeply. And exhale fully. And now open your eyes. Slowly come back to the room. Open your journal and just take a moment to just write about your day. Write about anything you like. Just allow those words to come into your mind and through your hands onto the page. Don't think about them. Don't filter them. You're writing about them in a private place. No one's going to read them. If you're worried about that, you can always get rid of the page. Just write. Just write. You're doing so great. It's true. Yeah. Whatever comes to mind, and if you can't think of anything, you can always just prompt yourself with some kind of thought, like, what caused me pain? What caused me anger? What triggered me? The triggers are what you can learn from. It's what you need to learn from. It's why you need to journal, to understand what triggers you. Because something is triggering your survival instinct. Becoming aware to that is how you address the problem. So finish up in those last 15 seconds. And then write 3 things that you're grateful for. 3 things that are positive in your day. The truth is there's infinite things to be grateful for. Noticing them is like a muscle. Muscles can be built. They can be made stronger. So just notice. Yeah. Just like that. And you can put your pen down and just give a quick read to what you wrote, and what you read may surprise you. Your perspective on your mountain that you just gained may really just give you a fresh way of looking at things. So that's the power of breathing. That's the power of writing. And over these 40 days, I hope that you'll do all of these practices. I hope you'll come to see the power of that. And I'm just going to shift to our last part of our... I'm just going to shift over to the last part of our exercise, and that's just going to draw a little bit of a barrier here. And so the last part of what we're going to talk about is relaxation and how that fits in. The recording that you have there it's about 16 minutes, and it's split into 2 parts. So first part is progressive muscle relaxation. And the second part is sound mindfulness that is brought on by the sound of the gong. So I play a gong, which has been shown in studies to just induce relaxation. And that's the purpose, because believe it or not, most people, they don't understand what relaxation is. What relaxation they understand to be might be like sitting down and watching a movie and relaxing on the lazy boy. But actually that's not relaxation, that is distraction. Relaxation is going deep inside. And when the importance of relaxation is, it has to do with the triad, the most important triad of vitality, or what we call inner strength, which is related to stress. So everyone has stress, right? Life is stressful. In this pandemic days, with all the virus stuff going on, life is really stressful. So the trouble is stress depletes our inner vitality. So there's this relationship. So stress kind of depletes our inner strength. And so people get the sense of, oh, we just need to reduce stress. That's the solution to our problems. But it's actually not. It doesn't work that way. Stress is actually quite healthy in regular doses if there's periods of no stress in between. So stress can actually make you stronger if there is opportunity to relax, such as when a nurse is on shift work. If a nurse on shift work at night has opportunity to sleep for 20 minutes, the studies show that that nurse is able to do the rest of the shift a lot better. Whereas what a lot of people do is they just take a lot of caffeine at night to cope with the stress, and all they're doing is surviving, and they're tapping their inner strength, and studies show that those people live about 25% less long than shift workers who make strides at learning how to relax and adapt their lives around night work. So the inner relationship of vitality or inner strength and stress really can be best understood from the analogy of weightlifting. So weightlifting is kind of like you have your bicep, and I'm no artist, but I'm just going to draw an arm with some hands and fingers on there, and then we're gonna have the bicep, right? And the goal with like a bicep curl is to slowly build muscle, right? And how do we do that? We do that with adding like weights, like a barbell. So imagine this. Imagine a weightlifter is lifting weights again and again and again, and most people can imagine that, yeah, you know what, you are going to get increase in your muscle mass, because your body's going to be like, hey, lifting this thing is important, and I need to, I should grow to the task. Now imagine this. Imagine if someone's lifting a weight again and again and again constantly, and when they're getting tired, they're jacking up on caffeine so they can keep lifting. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to get, if you get overuse, you're going to result in injury. There's going to be no ability to lift anything, because that muscle's going to break, right? And so the thing is that if instead you lift and you're responsible about it, you relax in between, you do sets of 5, and the weight isn't too high, and you do good relaxation in between, then that muscle will slowly grow in time, because it'll have opportunity to do so. And that's what our life is like. So the barbell is the stress. The taking a break is relaxation. And the muscle fibers is your inner strength. And so learning to relax is the first and most important part of building inner strength, because from inner strength comes what you really care about, right? Resilience. The ability to meet the needs of the universe. You need resilience for that. You need inner strength for that. You can't run away from stress because life is stressful. But if you can punctuate it with relaxation, you can actually grow, and you can reverse this process and instead eat stress up for lunch. So that's what your capacity is to do. Eat it for lunch and then grow. Rather than just have this depletion thing going on, you're going to grow. And that's what the learning to relax will do for you. So the progressive muscle relaxation has been shown in studies to help you sink into the bed. And we add some self-love language so that you can improve your relationship to yourself. Because if you don't relate to yourself functionally, you're not going to relate to anyone else functionally, and your life is going to be stressful. So we add progressive muscle relaxation, which has a lot of evidence. And then once you're all relaxed into the bed, then you can listen to the gong, and it can relax you even further by stilling the mind. It's always best not to resist sound relaxation things. Just merge with them. Just intuitively join with the sound and let it take you for a ride. The best way to do this is lying down. So don't do the sitting up. Just, snuggle up in something, put your earphones in, and lie down. And play the tape, and chances are, maybe even before you get to the gong or in the midst of the gong, you'll just conk out. And so just make sure that you got it on that one-way recording, so that once it's done playing, it just stops. It doesn't just repeat and wake you up. So really, this whole 40-day practice of these two recordings, it really is recording number 1 and recording number 2. It is really just it is just 16 minutes once a day for this. 15 minutes, 16 minutes, and then this one is just part of your sleep time. So you can it's not too onerous at all. And when you do these together, you're going to develop 3 crucial skills. And then the last thing that I'll just mention in this recording is that we're going to give you weekly little lectures. So just, 10, 20 minutes lectures, just on YouTube, much like this, with my doodling. And what we're going to just talk about is some concepts around recovery. So we're going to talk about, some things around self-therapy. How the mind works. In this lecture series, you're going to learn all these things around drama, communication. Because the truth is, you can't just reduce stress by increasing. You can't just reduce your resilience or increase your resilience with these technologies without sort of, not doing the things that makes your life stressful. And that means looking at your life and learning about how do you communicate. How do you communicate in a way that reduces stress? And so these 20-minute sort of weekly lectures will help your daily practice actually grow and give you a better why to augment your what. So I reduce a lot of recovery to what and the why. And most people in society, they're all about the what. Okay, I did journaling, I tried that, it didn't work. Tried that, it didn't work. Tried that, it didn't work. Didn't work. They try all sorts of stuff. And the problem there is that they don't have a good reason. They don't understand the mechanics of it. All of these things that I'm sharing here work for 100% of the population. And the ones who can do all these things the best are little babies, little infants, little toddlers, young children, because they just automatically can download their mind, they can express themselves, they just have such healthy coping. And through society, through our environment, our parents and our upbringing and all that stuff, we forget all of our healthy coping. So we need to rediscover that in an adult context or in a young adult context. So these little lectures are about the why, and so there will be one per week for the duration of the 40 days or 6 weeks thereabouts, and that will just help deepen your daily practice of connecting to self. So that's my hope and my wish, is that through this practice you will on your own grow as a person, grow your inner strength and realize more of your potential. And so certainly if through this practice you're finding yourself really triggered or something's really wrong, you're more than welcome to contact our clinic and get some advice from us. If things are getting really rocky, or you're not sure what's coming up, or your journaling's uncovered something really negative and you're struggling to cope, then just know that there's lots of resources like the Distress Center, and even the emergency room is a really great place to seek help. I don't expect any of that stuff to happen, but if it does, you can contact the appropriate resources for that. But the whole point of all of this actually is to prevent crisis, to develop a why so that you don't develop more trauma and more bad things happening again and again. So we focus a lot on the why to help cultivate things, and certainly if you have a physician, we do encourage you to stay in touch with that physician as well. And so I think that's probably good for today. We've covered all of our original points, and so I'm so very pleased that you were able to join us today, and I'm really really happy and excited for the journey you're about to embark on. So thank you, and I wish you all the best, and good luck.